Taoyuan Tzu Chi volunteers mobilize to care for first responders at a fire incident site. Delta Electronics kindly donates 30 second-hand computers to the refugee camp in Serbia. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lori Chen. Thank you for joining us. We start today with some very unfortunate news. A cargo warehouse in Guanyin, Taoyuan went up in flames on February 6th. There were a total of 3 casualties and 1 in critical condition. Upon learning the news, Tzu Chi volunteers brought food to directly care for the hardworking first responders.
Heavy smoke kept on coming out of a cargo warehouse in Taoyuan. More than 100 firefighters were dispatched to put out the fire and rescue the workers that were reportedly still trapped inside the building. The fire was not completely put out until the early morning on February 7th. There were still 2 foreign migrant workers missing inside. Their families and friends rushed to the scene first thing in the morning, waiting anxiously outside.
他们有跟你们说他们来这边工作这样子吗？
以前有听说，可是昨天就没有跟我们讲，
那就一直都没有联系上这样子。
目前没有联系，
打手机也都没有通这样子。
手机是关机中，
就这样。所以你们今天都来等，有多少人一起来这边等这样？
应该有20几个。刚封过年的话，我们就非常担心，希望有好的消息。
There are many stored cargoes in various partitions in the warehouse. The Fire Bureau has dispatched large machinery to the scene. Unfortunately, the bodies of 2 foreign migrant workers were found near the 2nd floor elevator.
The 2 of them were both lying on the floor. From their positions, we were not able to judge what they wanted to do exactly when the fire first broke out. Since they were near the elevator, there's a possibility that they wanted to escape. That might be the reason as to why they were moving toward the elevator.
The cause of the fire is still under investigation. The firefighters also remind the public that, while escaping from the fire, do not take the elevator, as it could lose power and catch on fire. When it permits, people should use the stairs and move toward the lower ground by following the fire exit signs. Upon learning of the fire in Taoyuan, city volunteers immediately brought mineral water and sweet porridge for the first responders. As the firefighters worked from the daytime until late into the night, the volunteers continued to care for them.
We prepared some bread, milk, and energy drinks. When it started to get cold in the night, we also handed them hot ginger tea with the uttermost respect.
As the first responders race against time to save lives, the volunteers were there supporting them in any way they can.
Speaking of the day, February 6th, just a year ago, Hualien was shaken to its core by a 6.2 magnitude earthquake. Many affected residents are still recovering. Recently, the Hualien County government announced that the Project Hope construction plans will kick up right after the Lunar New Year period. Let's meet one of the brave survivors,石佩玉. 1 room, 1 person, and 2 cats. This is the daily life of石佩玉. However, this type of serenity wasn't easy to come by. 1 year ago, she was still living in the 2nd floor of the 2 and 4 Guosen 6th Street residential building.
When the earthquake hit for the first time, it had knocked off the thermos I had on my nightstand. It directly hit me in the head. That was what caused the injury here to my face. After I got hit, I immediately got up. I sat up and a massive round of earthquake hit. All I heard were muffled sounds. It came really fast. The time passed by super fast. I tried to shout out, but before I could get anything out of my mouth, another round of earthquake came. All I heard was a loud thud, and then everything came crashing down. When it happened, I completely froze.
On February 6, 2018, at exactly 11:50 p.m., Hualien was hit violently with a 6.2 magnitude earthquake. It had led to the immediate collapse of 4 major buildings: the Marshall Hotel, the Yunmen Cui Tea Complex, the 2 and 4 Guosen 6th Street residential building, and the 41 Guosen 6th Street residential building.
My son called me on the phone and I immediately grabbed my cell phone. It was what woke me up from the daze. I was actually hurt at that time, but I didn't notice. My leg was smashed by the vanity table and was fractured. I didn't think much at that time. I just quickly put on my vest and told myself that no matter what, I needed to make it out of there alive.
At that time, Ci Pei-yu, who was still half asleep, was rudely awakened by the thermos smashing into her head. With her neighbor's help, both of them managed to climb out of what is now an unrecognizable home.
The stairs were all twisted, the walls had chunks falling out, so we didn't know which way to go. We just thought, let's go down toward the entrance. When we started to head downward, right when we turned, we ran into Pei-yu. It was such a relief knowing that she was still there as well. Then we all thought of various ways to climb out of the building together.
By relying on a makeshift ladder, Ci Pei-yu was finally able to get out of the building. With only a cell phone in her possession, she relied on her older sister to get through the difficult first month after the earthquake hit.
Of course, she complained. Why did all this happen to her? All I could do to help her was just be there to listen to her, accompany her to go eat, to leave each day, one step at a time. Just try my best to stay by her side.
Even after going through such a massive earthquake and traumatic ordeal, Ci Pei-yu never once thought about leaving Hualien.
My first thought was I needed to stay here where the traumatic earthquake happened because I need to overcome this constant fear of the disaster.
At the moment, she's renting an apartment for a relative. She's living once again with the 2 cats that have survived the earthquake as well. However, due to the multiple surgeries, she's temporarily unable to work. Nevertheless, Ci Pei-yu still wants to give back to society any way she can. Just 2 months after the earthquake, encouraged by her family members, she went to a nearby Mennonite Christian hospital to volunteer. It helped her rebuild her self-esteem and started to walk out of the dark shadows of the tragedy.
Before the earthquake hit, I had put everything I had into buying a house, and then it all just collapsed in that one moment. Everything is gone now, so I'm very grateful to all the kind and compassionate individuals that have made donations in some way to help those of us who are being affected deeply. It really gives us a sense of hope for the future.
However, life is multifaceted. It's been 1 year since the massive earthquake hit Hualien, and many affected residents, like Ci Pei-yu, is still asking where's their future home going to be.
I have absolutely nothing left. Even if I wanted a toothpick, I would have to go buy it myself. I'm still recovering every day from those traumatic events that happened on that fateful night. Whenever someone brings up the earthquake, I could still see the images of that night so vividly. I would think to myself, when can't you stop? You need to stop reliving it.
The Hualien County government is expected to start the Project Hope construction plans after the Lunar New Year period ends. It is expected that 43 affected households will be accommodated. Each one is full of hope and has already begun planning how to arrange their future homes.
I have very high expectations for this future home of mine. I've already planned everything for it. I've even been to the neighborhood, went and scouted out the living conditions there. I think it's very practical. It's going to be great.
Now she's able to reunite with her beloved family members. Although this is not the only wish that she hopes to fulfill. She's looking forward to heading back into the workforce and be self-sustainable again. She has a lot of hope and wishes for the future.
I feel that I got a second chance at life, so I must cherish it this time.
In Kaohsiung, there's an oral cancer patient who lives by himself. He's very standoffish to any outside help. Not giving up, Tima doctor Ye Tianhao personally made a trip to his home to help him change his dressings. The patient was deeply touched, which opened up his heart.
Tima Dr. Ye Tianhao conducts a medical home visit for an oral cancer patient during the New Year holiday.
It's painful just to touch it because his beard and the tumors are all mixed together.
Dr. Ye shaved the beard and cleaned the face for the patient in order to put ointments on his wound. 56-year-old Mr. Tsai had oral cancer 10 years ago and had undergone surgeries to remove it. However, the tumor started to grow again and his wound has become worse. Dr. Ye and the nurse changed his medications attentively, hoping to ease his pain. Before they came, Mr. Tsai refused help from Tzu Chi volunteers.
When we mentioned about coming to help him, he strongly opposed. He really dislikes us to touch his wound.
We want to clean his wound so he can have a more comfortable New Year vacation. This will make him feel better both physically and mentally.
Not only has Mr. Tsai's pain healed, but his heart was warmed by the doctors' and volunteers' love and care. They've set up the date for the next appointment, and Mr. Tsai knows that he is no longer alone now.
A Germany Tzu Chi volunteer who works at the Delta Electronics delivered 30 second-hand computers to the refugee camps in Serbia. He even installed webcam software so that the refugees could get in contact with their families.
The weather is freezing in Serbia. As Tzu Chi volunteers distribute winter clothing, refugees line up outdoors. Since most of them are wearing slippers and thin clothing, they immediately put on the winter clothing upon receiving it.
I like.
It's very good.
Very good.
At the Principovic refugee camp, which takes in mostly young male refugees, the volunteers give out Jingzi aphorisms.
Bad temperature, temper, and a fall month, then no matter how good you are hot, is you are not a good person.
The volunteers have also brought 30 second-hand computers.
And we know all the refugees, most important thing for them is internet. And we also install a program they can have a video contact with their family in their country.
We are very grateful for the donated computers. In a time like this, computers are very important to the refugees.
To the volunteers, Charles Chang, upon learning that refugee camps need computers, collected old laptops from his company. He also added webcam software. One of his colleagues is in charge of installing the computers and training the technical support personnel.
Those will be used for language learning and talking with families. We did provide also headsets locally here, so they can use this opportunity, let's say, to video conference with their families because they have been away for so long. And
we can get some information for migrants, for everything. We can know our rights from use internet to laptop, so it's very useful for us.
On this day, volunteers also visit a Sid refugee camp. Back in 2016, volunteers have served here for more than a month. 3 months ago, volunteers came here to provide dental health education for the children. The children responded with excitement and joy, feeling the love and warmth of the volunteers.
I want to help poor people who don't have money. I will give them money. I will give them house. I will give them food, everything.
This is the last stop of European Tzu Chi volunteers' distribution of winter clothing. Tzu Chi volunteers deliver chocolate cookies and red envelopes of blessing and wisdom to thank the local volunteers for their help.
Because without Tzu Chi, I can honestly say that this camp would not even exist.
Thank you. Tzu Chi volunteers have brought smiles onto the faces of the refugees in Serbia. Love and warmth is felt despite the freezing weather.
In Chile, Tzu Chi volunteers have been caring for the residents of an institute for people with cerebral palsy for 8 years already. Each year during holiday seasons, the volunteers will head over to give special performances.
Under the big tree, the volunteers dance and sing for a group of physically challenged friends.
We've prepared many different programs for you. We wish everyone a wonderful holiday. Ding Ying, who's learning dancing, has dressed up to dance in order to show her respect to the audience. These physically challenged individuals responded by nodding or moving their limbs.
This is a joyful holiday. Thanks to all of you from Taiwan, Chile, and South America. Tzu Chi volunteers from Taiwan come to provide care and entertainment programs every year. We like them very much. Wish everyone a wonderful holiday season.
We all want to be volunteers. I am really glad to have the opportunity to come here today. It is not just us who have come to care for you, but you have provided the chance for us to learn. We've experienced so much more love than we have given.
I would like to thank Tzu Chi volunteers for your love and time. On behalf of all the families and children here, I would like to thank you all again for coming to visit us.
It is the 8th year Tzu Chi volunteers have come to provide care for the physically challenged individuals. Over the years, the volunteers have already successfully recruited a group of local youth to monitor in order to provide love and care for those in need.
During the Lunar New Year period, many people visited a humanitarian ecotech pavilion at the Flora Expo. A couple gave a stunning saxophone performance at the venue, hoping to share the beauty of the music and invite more people to learn about recycling.
The saxophone performance was given at the humanitarian ecotech pavilion. Many visitors came to watch, some also danced along to the music.
The
two performers are a couple, and both of them have street performer licenses. During the weekdays, they have regular work, and on the weekends, they will be performed on the street. This couple often participates in Tzu Chi events as well.
I felt joyful while playing music. There's no stress or worries. Both of us wanted to give and do not expect anything in return. We're glad to perform here today.
We hope to let more people discover the beauty of saxophone by performing. At the same time, we want to invite more visitors to the pavilion.
The Ecotech Pavilion is located in Waipu, which is close to Houli District. This is where most of the saxophones are produced in Taiwan. One can hear this music from schools to traditional markets, as people would usually refer the district as a music town.
About 70% of the residents in Houli learn how to play the saxophone.
Although I'm not an expert in music, but I feel joyful while hearing and watching the music performance. It's great to have Tzu Chi in our community.
It's the third day of the Lunar New Year. Besides learning more about recycling, the visitors also enjoy the music performance, making their holidays a little more special.
In our continuous series on water resources around the world, we will stay in Japan to take a look at the Yamba Reservoir in the Gunma Prefecture.
What type of reservoir project would take more than half a century to complete from initial planning to construction? For the past 50 years, there was lots of controversy and no way to enter the construction site. It wasn't until the 51st year that we were able to do some environmental impact assessments and later some land acquisition.
The reservoir behind me comes at a total cost of 532 billion, which can provide water to Tokyo and Gunma prefectures and a total of 5 administrative districts. But such a vast project is already 80% completed after just 2 years.
The supply of tap water in Saitama Prefecture, Chiba Prefecture, and Tokyo are still insufficient. It's necessary to build a reservoir here. This crane continues to move sandstone into position and it hopes to catch up the 2020 scheduled opening. Tourists are coming to the area to document this history. It's great. Most of the reservoir will be in the mountains. There's a national highway here, so it will be a convenient place to see the reservoir from here. A close-up look at this 38-story reservoir leaves some tourists feeling in awe. However, few people know that the construction of the reservoir encountered many challenges. More than 70 years ago, a typhoon caused the Tong River to break the levee, flooding more than 300,000 households, killing more than 1,100 people. Tokyo couldn't escape the flooding as well, as the Japanese government ultimately decided to build this dam upstream, though it ignited many confrontations between the people and the government. Unexpectedly, a noisy protest went on for 50 years because the reservoir is located in a famous hot spring township of Gunma Prefecture. Once built, it would cover almost 456 hectares of land, with the famous hot spring street and outer roads underwater, threatening people's livelihood.
Looking down from here, the whole area below includes the old Hot Springs Street and the Red Bridge not far away along the old highway. If we look a little further, we can see the old Meadow Bridge and the old JR line. When the reservoir is finished in 2020, all of this will be underwater.
This is a matter for 3 generations, from the time of my grandfather, the struggle of my father, as our generation is given the task of rebuilding. This individual who runs the restaurant talks about rebuilding as it applies to a new career plan for himself and the other residents. They will be compensated for their loss, as the government will move the highway north and preserve hot spring water. As a result of communicating with the local residents at the beginning of the construction, they all hoped that they would maintain a relationship with the hot springs, so a hot spring storage tower was made from the beginning. Reservoir construction is often unpopular around the world, often because people are forced to leave their homes. Providing drinking water downstream causes upstream damage. But the Japanese government not only spends money to care for affected residents, but their future lives are also looked after. Even though new hot spring hotels will rise up, many are still unable to hide their regret.
Although they're building a new hot spring street, I personally want the old hot spring street, and I feel it is a pity it is gone.
This is the original hot spring festival of Kawahara, which involves hot spring water from the river. Of course, the river will disappear, and in the future will be inundated by the reservoir, and will only part of history afterwards.
The
dam itself has become a tourist attraction, and our new generation will take advantage of this and see how it can be integrated with nature to create a new sightseeing opportunity. People have no choice but to let go of history and embrace the future. After all, revitalizing the local economy is a matter of urgency. The new reservoir has a total storage capacity of 107.5 million cubic meters. In addition to flood control, it can also provide tap water and power generation. Since the old hot spring area will be flooded, and the new design will treat the reservoir as a sightseeing opportunity. The dam has a sightseeing elevator that allows visitors from the hot spring town to walk down to the gorge. This is the first dam in Japan to have such a facility. In the future, the Amba Reservoir, in addition to supplying water, will continue to be a selling point for the area. In April and May of 2018, 25,000 people came to the area. It is the first dam with a sightseeing elevator in Japan. After a rocky start, it is now firmly establishing itself and its important role in history and water conservancy.
The weather is getting colder, therefore the Northern District TEMA team conducted remote areas medical home visits. They advise everyone take your medications on time and wear warm clothing in order to prevent a spike in your blood pressure. Stay warm, everyone. Thank you and see you next time.